Thank you all for coming to the Jungle Project Evolution Update 2024.
In the past few hours, you ate something. A sandwich, a bowl of cereal, a taco, a pizza. The odds are good that most of your last meal came from grains like rice, wheat, and corn that need to be replanted every year. 50% of the world's calories come from grains, but there's a cost. They grow best on open land, so they're incompatible with forests. They can require a lot of fertilizer. And they're so cheap that smallholder farmers can't make a living without mechanization and industrialization. The alternative would be something that grows on a tree, but those tend to be fruits like peaches, limes, or apples. They're tasty, but you usually need something else too. But let's take another look at fruit. What if there was a fruit that grew on a tree year after year that provided the caloric punch of grains without all the ecological drawbacks? Like bread, but in a fruit. Bread, fruit, breadfruit? Yep, breadfruit. Every year, a breadfruit tree creates 800 pounds of massive bowling ball-sized sweet potatoes that are packed with nutrients year after year after year. Breadfruit is way more productive than other crops. It's incredibly resilient, and it can grow alongside other trees and crops in an agroforestry system. Jungle Project plants breadfruit trees, trains farmers on best practices, and trades the produce to keep the cycle going. Trees, training, and trade. To learn more about our mission and how to help, visit our website.
Hi, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here with you. Thank you for coming to this call. So this is Jungle Project, and we really believe that working with the small farmers can create a huge impact in the world, because the majority of food that we eat come from smallholders, farmers. So we have been working with this group through our program that includes trees, training, and trade, which in trees, we deliver breadfruit as main tree and crop, but also other trees that accompany the system to produce agroforestry system, that it's the inclusion of trees and other crops in the same plot. So that will be creating different dynamics of microbiological beings and plants and nutrients that will be this system much resilient to climate change, and also to reduce the pests and diseases, and really important to produce more and more production and income and diversify income for the families. So we work with them also in the training that it's really practical. So we include how to produce the local inputs for the nutrition, for the pest and disease control, how to be propagating the plants from the system. And so so this is part of the practical sessions that we do with them that always are really practical and dynamic. And the idea is that they can be learning by doing and in real practice. And then we also have the trade part that it's really important and crucial, because it's the point where we can put together all the efforts that the farmers have been doing to produce, to take care of the trees, to be successfully in the production, and linked it to the market, and that the market can be buying products from the breadfruit, and that money can go back to the farmers to continue doing what they amazingly do, that it's this creating agroforestry systems and food forests. So this is part of the products that we already have. We're gonna be talking more about pasta and other products that we are creating. And now I want to go back to Paul to let us know more about agroforestry.
Thank you, Gustavo. Welcome, everybody. So great to see everyone showing up today. Couldn't be more excited to be sharing this with everyone. We've come a long way. I wanted to just say, from the beginning, I've been working with folks like Stephen Brooks and many other people who are really into collecting different varieties of edible plants. And breadfruit just stood out as one of those missing links to curing so many of our world's challenges, like malnutrition, hunger, climate crisis, immigration problem. So it's helping keeping people on their land, being owners of their farms, being self-sufficient, feeding themselves. So it really checks off so many different boxes. And so we've dedicated over a decade now to planting trees and supporting farmers. And they've always asked us who's going to buy the fruit. And so that's why we have this hybrid model of a nonprofit with for-profit to help connect them with market, because they need to sell the fruit at some point. Otherwise, they're going to deforest their land and plant a monoculture of pineapple or banana that does have a market. And so by having these agroforestry systems with market is crucial. And so we have this hybrid model. Years ago, I want to hand it off to Stephen just to say a couple words. But when we were developing this idea, we spent a year going to different farming groups and asking them, would you want to plant breadfruit trees? And they said, sure, who's going to buy it? And so we spent a year planning it, but not actually implementing. We're taking in, and then I think it was Stephen who said, you guys need to start selling. And at Envision Festival that he was, I think it was like one of the third years they were doing it, fourth years, he said, come in, you can have a booth, won't charge you, do a little bit of volunteer work to compensate. And we were able to sell, I think it was $800 worth of breadfruit chips in that first festival we went to. And that $800 went to go and pay for the first few hundred trees and subsidize the trees for the farmers. And it was really tremendous. So I'm really grateful for folks like Stephen who believed in us back in the beginning. And so it's really great to have him on today. And I'm sure it must be pretty wild for you to see how far we've come. Do you want to say a few words briefly, Brooks?
Yeah, totally. Thanks so much for having me. I will say I am one of the probably biggest fans of the Jungle Project. I bet Jan will up me, but I'm a huge fan. Yeah, I mean, some things I would just add that I think some of the biggest breakthroughs that are happening now is that breadfruit doesn't make seeds. It is it's a complicated thing to propagate at scale. And for that reason, you never really saw breadfruit farms. You saw breadfruits in people's yards. You have to dig up a baby and they don't make lots of them. And it was kind of a complicated process. I think the fact now that Jungle Project has figured out ways to produce and spread mass amounts of breadfruit trees is revolutionary. And yeah, I live in Costa Rica. I've been there for 30 years and been living I lived for 25 of those years on an off the grid farm, often feeding anywhere from like 40 to 100 people that were taking classes and living out at the farm, and breadfruit filled their bellies. We were, like I said, off the grid. We had no store. And so trying to grow things like yucca or yam or corn or anything was so much more work. My neighbor, Patty, may he rest in peace, was born in 1928 on that land out in Punta Mona on the Caribbean side. And he used to say, boy, if you plan things right, all you do is reap. Let's breathe that one in. If you plan things right, all you do is reap. And breadfruit is like just the epitome of, it's like the quintessential thing about you plan it right and all you do is harvest. It's like in the beginning of the system, it's hard to get started and it takes a little bit of work to, maintain your trees, but then all of your energy goes into harvesting. I'd love to just bring one little permaculture term that I love so much, and breadfruit is such a great example of it. And it's EROI. EROI stands for energy returned on energy invested. And breadfruit is like just the most positive EROI. It's just keeps giving and giving. And then the other thing is, I actually got to go there like in, 2010, I got to go to Maui to that breadfruit experimental station. And I just like, why don't we have all of these different varieties? So over time, as Paul started figuring out, bringing in all of these different varieties, always in Costa Rica, there was only 2 varieties. And Paul started bringing in all these different varieties, so that we got to the point at Putamona where we pretty much had breadfruit all year. You know, it wasn't just like this 2-3 month season. And yeah, so I mean, I think the work that you're doing, I think just like this mindset, you know, especially in places like actually everywhere where there's just so much cattle, you know, just so much pasture land and poor management, we need to fill those pastures with agroforestry systems, and yeah, with breadfruit at the center. So yeah, thank you so much for the work you're doing. Thanks for inviting me on here. I feel so incredibly, I went on early to ask them what they wanted me to say, and they were just like, just say how you feel about breadfruit. And yeah, I think it's really it's already radically improving the world. It's radically improved my life. And yeah, I'm just such a big supporter of all the work that you're doing.
Thanks, Brooksy. You're the
Yeah,
best. Tell your dad I said hi.
I
Saw him
will.
earlier in the
Yeah,
video.
he's here. You tell him he's watching.
Hey, Norm.
Thank you for all your kind words, Stephen. And yeah, it's just so exciting, the power of breadfruit and agroforestry. We've seen it with the smallholder farmers, and we believe that the smallholder farmers hold such an important impact in the environment and feeding the world. And we have a proven model that we've already gone through one generation of breadfruit farmers that now we've guaranteed buying back over 80% of what they produce. And now we've created it into different products such as flour and pasta. So it's something that is transforming lives. It's impacting the environment in a really beautiful way through regenerating the soils. And I'd like to go into what are the results we've seen from the 4-year training program economically and socially. And maybe Gustavo, you can share some of the results we've seen.
Sure, yeah. First of it, I want also to mention that all the process that we are working with the farmers, it's really thought to them. You know, like it's easy to just have an idea and trying to implement it because I want that idea to be a reality, but not always what we think is what the farmers are wanting and are dreaming to their lives. So the process that we have been working with them, it's really asking them, you know, of course, guiding them with technical assistance, but asking them if this plan it's something that they really want, if they want to include other trees, other crops, if they want to manufacture the production, or they want to sell it to us, or they need to find local, you know, people that will, or restaurants or whatever that are going to be purchasing the fruits from them. So has been really an amazing experience to being working really hand to hand to the farmers. Of course, we know all their names. You know, we have also visited all their farms, and that relationship of community, it's really crucial to be doing what we are doing in the scale that we want. Last 2 years, we planted more than 18,000 trees that we're going to be producing a lot of food to them. And it is not just, you know, to plant trees, but we are really focused in plant food trees that are going to be producing food to them and many other people that probably we don't know either, and they haven't born either yet. And so this is amazing, you know, with this group, we have been doing this, as I told before, not just breadfruit, but we have planted citrus, cacao, and nitrogen fixers, and other trees that are really combined in the agroforestry system. And to this process, we have been also been giving training to them, more than 15 sessions per year, and where we I mean, here and before I just mentioned like compost and other local and organic inputs, but a range of the topics of the trainings come from the soil, the microbiology, the chemistry of the soil, how to regenerate that soil, how to maintain the qualities and preserve, the soil if it is not a flat area, and many knowledge that we have been a lot of knowledge that we have been sharing with them. And these sessions we have put it together in a book that it's called Breadfruit Plantation Management Guide, that includes, of course, agroforestry, of course, talks about breadfruit, how to take care of it, how to produce the inputs and the organic products for the system. And all the book is really, illustrated, so it's easy to understand whoever it's gonna be reading it. And the idea is also that this book and this model that we have been creating, we are super ready to continue implemented in other parts of the country and also in other countries. We are working towards working with Dominican Republic and Vietnam. We have already gone there. We have already gone and make contacts also in the processing part, that it's really crucial, because breadfruit, it's a ripening fruit, so it has to be transformed into any other product, not fresh, in really fast time. So we have been doing all this, and we are ready to go with that. As part of the results also is that we, at the same time that we created this technical book, we created a children book that Jean was really big part of it, and guiding all the ideas and the strategy, the what to put there. And it's a really beautiful book that we have also been distributing it into the farmers group with them, and making them to have it in their homes and share it with their friends, that it talks about nature, about diversity, about trees, and the importance of local food. Because again, we really believe that working with small groups and children, it's super important to the future. So yeah, and the next I will ask Paul, because as you see, we have this interaction between Jungle Project, that it's more about training and trees, and Jungle Foods, that is the trading branch. So could you elaborate more in this, Paul?
Sure. Yeah, I apologize. I got a little emotional there. It's just so nice to see it, how all the different things that we've pulled together, and all these faces in that book that Jean wrote, for the children's book. I was on Sunday, I went to go pick up 200 plus breadfruit trees from a farmer in the Caribbean, and he showed me his forest. It was a dense tropical forest, and mixed in there were a lot of breadfruit trees alongside many other food crops and hardwoods and natives. And he showed me where a stream used to grow through his property. And I said, why isn't there a stream anymore? So I used to fish here, and now there's no more water coming through. And like just a slice right next to his property, the neighbor sold to a pineapple plantation, which deforested and then bulldozed flat everything. That stream is now diverted, and no more water goes through his property. And then when it does heavy rain, it does flow mud and chemicals through there. And this guy was asked to sell his property. He said no. He said, I'm not going to let you cut my forest down, and I want to keep this in my family, and I want to put my children to have, all my grandkids to have it. And what are they going to do when everything has been cut down and there's just pineapple and chemicals? He says the smell comes in at 7 p.m. when they're spraying, when they're not supposed to during the day. certain chemicals. They can get away with it at night because there's no cops. And you said you just can't breathe because of the chemical smell. And these are the people that we're supporting. They're the warriors on the ground fighting to keep their property, and they need help. They can't do it alone. And so, these corporations, these large, big ag, and the United Fruit descendants are still pillaging the land and the people, mining. They're basically just mining. And Jungle Project and Jungle Foods exists to support these farmers because Gustavo, Gina, and I are not out there every day on the land. They are, and we can only do so much, with our properties that we have the privilege to care for a few short years on this planet. And these farmers are there every day. So Jungle Project is like we said, the trees and the training, get the trees out there, but they need income. They need to be able to support their families, buy a new phone for themselves and their kid. They need income. And so how can we do that? Jungle Foods. Jungle Foods is the for-profit brand. We commercialize those products that they're growing in these agroforestry systems. And it's crucial that we have this integration of the two. A handout of trees and then never showing up again is, it doesn't work. And a long-term strategy for really keeping that land intact and those farmers' livelihoods regenerating and improving, and not just maintaining, but actually proliferating. And so we're constantly innovating and trying to figure out ways to get folks to consume breadfruit and other products. Well, we didn't call it breadfruit foods or breadfruit project for a reason. We didn't want it to be a monoculture ever. It's always about agroforestry. Breadfruit is a part of that. It's the differentiator. It's the bread, but you need to put butter on top. You need to put other things on that bread. And so the farmers also have different income by diversifying their farms, keeping them diverse. They're diversifying their income. And so it's been I would say a struggle, definitely a struggle to figure out how to do that best. And by, like Gustavo said, we always go listening. And instead of just saying, this is what you should do, we go and say, this is what we think is a good idea. What do you think? What do you need? And we have actually spent, in the early years, we had anthropologists working with us to go and do, questionnaires, and not just us, but other third parties to ask and talk to them what they need. And we adjust constantly. If we have a training model that we want to go out there in one community, it might not be the same for another community. And so we're constantly listening and seeing what they need. One group says, we really need to, we have a disease that's killing all of our citrus. What do we do? How can we fight this? And so we will bring in, with the grants and the donations that we get, we're able to bring in other experts and help get those resources to the farmers. And it's been a pleasure. It's been a struggle. It's a passion project for life for us. And any support from you guys is really helpful. And I think it's almost ready to hand off to Karen, because we need a way to be able to bring in donations and funnel that to the farmers. Years ago, Karen and folks at Kiss the Ground were able to bring us on as a fiscal sponsoree. I'm not sure if that's a word, and create that bridge between donors and us and the farmers. Karen, would you care to say a few things about Kiss the Ground?
Yeah, totally. Thanks for having us. I'm just super proud of you all to watch you grow. Kiss the Ground started, we're a 501c3 in the United States, nonprofit. And we started as a group of friends who just cared about something. And I know that's how you all started as well. So we basically just learned about how soil works, and we were very disconnected as city people. We were like, wait, what do you mean? Like, I know I went to kindergarten. I know I had education on how to grow a plant. I remember growing a avocado in my house because they sent me home with a seed. But how are we almost 30 years old and we all worked in food and we all worked in vegan food? How are we so disconnected from how this all actually works? And because we were in a metropolitan city, so we just kind of got privy to how it all works and the magic of what soil is actually doing all the time. And we just were like, if this is true and regenerating the soil will help a lot of people and mitigate a lot of problems, then we have to give our lives to this. So we gave our lives to that. And we, over the last 12 years, have cultivated, seeing how to remind people that we are nature and seeing how to become the types of people we need to be to live regeneratively and have regenerative practices. And so in that time and in that work, one of the programs that's been one of our most successful programs is an education program. And so we made courses to teach people about soil. And that's how we met Jean and Paul and this team, is that they're graduates of those courses. And so when they started their project, they were like, we need a fiscal sponsor. And we were like, we know we're attempting to do this on a global scale, but we know that local projects are like equally as important, and you have to focus. Context is one of the main principles of regenerative agriculture, and without context, then it's just a lot of the same. Context is the disruptor. It's no two pieces of land are the same, no two gut biomes are the same. We don't function like that as societies, and we have to remember that each person is a context, each community is a context, each farm is a context. And if we could start there, it's uncomfortable because we're so used to being a society that just replicates. But that's why regeneration is a disruptor, because it is about context based. And so when we saw this project, we were like, this is going to be so impactful in that one area. And if you regenerate the land and you regenerate the family that the land is on, then you regenerate the community around it, and so on. And we know that to be true. So we got behind this project and have been able to help, over time to get the word out, to get funding in, and then also helping them figure out their next steps and how is this going to grow? How big does it want to grow? What are the avenues to go through? It's a discovery that we lived ourselves in trying to make a nonprofit in the States. I don't think we knew what that meant when we started. And I don't think we knew what it meant to even say yes to regeneration, like regenerative agriculture or regeneration. I think what I've learned is that the soil is healing us, and it's not the other way around at all. So it's been a brilliant trajectory and journey. It's given us a lot. But there are many problems in the world and many things to work on. So we have to lean on each other, support each other, and trust each other to work on what each is working on. And so this project still today is highly inspiring. When Jean wrote her book, Regenerate Your Life, and then there's the children's book, and there's these tools that farmers can use outside of just the on-the-ground work, also is really inspiring. That children's book is really brilliant. They did it in English and Spanish so that children could understand that there's two types, there's different types of people, and at the same time, two things can exist at the same time. So it's really beautifully done. A lot of people worked on it, so that was really awesome. It's the convening, the community activation of it, and then the team reaching into like, let's go to Guatemala with it. Let's look at work in Thailand. Let's look at this. Let's try to make a pasta. Let's try to make a flour, and like, it's just really motivating to see the ripple effect of what we can do together when we say yes to, working with nature and remembering that we are nature. So essentially, yeah, that is what we're all up to together. Kiss the Ground is attempting to do it on a larger scale. We put out documentaries in the last few years. We still haven't, we have another one coming out at the end of this year. We have another one we're making that's coming out in 2 years. And when you work on a scale that large or trying to touch the world in a certain way, it has its own nuances. You know, Paul said there's sacrifice and there's gain. Like it's both, right? It's hard and it's awesome. And so it's the ebb and flow of being a steward of land and participating in what is our given gift. It's the tending to the essence and the source of all of life. And so I'm proud we get to do that. I think, you know, we were imperfect in it, but we definitely care. So that's, I think, the most brilliant part about it. So I appreciate everyone being here, and I appreciate everyone to support this work, because again, the ripple, we'll never really understand what it is, all of us, but I think that there's a future because this work is happening. So that's what I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Karen. It's been such a pleasure to work with Kiss the Ground over the last 5 years and really learn so much from Karen and the organization. And what's been such a blessing is that because Kiss the Ground is our fiscal sponsor, you can donate through Kiss the Ground, which the link is in the chat. And the funds go to our jungle project here and our farming communities. And we've now are supporting 15 farming communities here in Cartago in the middle of Costa Rica. And we've seen such an impact in food sovereignty and the regeneration of the soils. And this is our second cohort going through the program. So with the first cohort, we learned a lot, and we were able to make different changes in our second program. And now we're 2 years through our second program, and we're seeing other interests in other countries. And this is one of our challenges, is seeing how can we fund and how can we partner with other projects in different countries to grow organically, so that we can also then buy back the breadfruit and have the market for it as well. So another challenge is also the chicken or the egg, making sure that we are able to guarantee to the farmers that we buy back the breadfruit so that they have a great income. So it's really exciting, because this model of trees, training, and trade is replicable all over the tropical nations. And we're already expanding to Dominican Republic, and we are starting to look into how we can replicate this model in Vietnam as well, and set up similar jungle food, jungle project sort of interconnection, so that there is the promise to the farmers of a great income and regenerating the soils. I'd love to go into the budget for the next 5 years, and we project in the next year or two to really double in size our organization by expanding to from 2 countries to 4 countries. And by 2028, we are expecting to double our headcount and also to expand into 8 countries. And we can see this happening through partnering with other organizations. And also we see the power of collaboration. We really couldn't have done much of all of what we've done without the power of collaboration. We see how our key partners have allowed us to really play a role within Costa Rica. For example, we are partnering with universities for research studies. We're partnering with Impact Hub, which is helping with our back-end support and accounting. We have partnered, as we just spoke about, with Kiss the Ground. And we have different partnerships within the public sector as well, looking at how we can really collaborate on a governmental level, on an institutional level, and within universities to really see breadfruit make a splash, not only in the local market, but also the global market by supporting smallholder farmers. We really couldn't have done all of this without our key donors. So in the last 5 years, we've had, these are key donors that have been supporting us through our trees training and trade program. And like we said, we planted over 18,000 food producing trees in just the last 2 years. We were able to create this amazing breadfruit management guide and the children's book with that funding, along with paying our field trainer and doing some special projects within the community. So it's been such a pleasure to be part of Jungle Project because I've seen the growth in this breadfruit tree and how we plant the breadfruit tree and it creates a forest of breadfruit. And one breadfruit tree can feed a family and meet all of its carbohydrate needs for over 75 years. So we see the potential of breadfruit and we see the potential of the trees training and trade program. And we're asking for any referrals to foundations, or if you know any high net individuals, to help support the growth and expansion of this program, because we know it works and we have a proven model and it can be replicated throughout the tropical nations. So coming back to our key question, why are we investing in small farmers planting food forests with breadfruit trees? Well, it's income producing for the farmers. It has environmental benefits such as soil regeneration, and breadfruit and food forests can feed our world. And now we'd like to open it up to some questions.
I've been a monthly donor for probably 6 years, and it's a very easy way for me to give an unrestricted gift, continuous gift. So I don't really think about it anymore. It's not very much every month, but it actually adds up. So I wanted to make a recommendation to people who think they are not wealthy enough, so to speak, to give a large gift. Giving a small monthly donation that's unrestricted, that allows you to use it as you will, I think would you say that's a good benefit to the organization? And would you say that enables enough trees to be planted, or just to support your operations?
Definitely.
Yes.
I see Karen nodding her head ferociously over there. Do you want to say something, Karen?
No, it really is. It's so helpful. You think it's a little bit, but it adds up, and it's one of the greatest ways to be part of the community without, sometimes we get so busy that we don't check back in, but if our money is going straight through, it's always doing something, and that it's really brilliant. It's a really great way to have partners without feeling like like you need to be on all the time. It's really like a fabulous way to just be part of the whole. It's like I always think an ecosystem, right? There's like so many parts and everything's doing its part, and those little influxes of capital, they're very helpful. They're nutrient dense, I'll say.
Yes, thank you, and thanks, Jan, for those monthly donations. It's been very many years, and it does add up, and that it adds up to real trees in people's farms and income for them later on, and food in their bellies. And so you can go to jungleproject.com. There's a donate button on the top right, and that directs you to the Kiss the Ground website, where you can choose how much you'd like to donate. And please, if you feel you can't even share a tiny bit, sharing the possibility with other people that you know, sharing with 5 or 10 people, if even one of those it becomes a monthly donor or one-time donor, it really is helpful.
Thank you, everyone. And you have our email and our website. So we continue to interweave.
Thanks,
Thank you for
everybody.
all you do. Bye-bye.
Thanks,
Thank you
Ed.
so much. Thank you for a
Thank
great
you.
presentation and discussion. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. It was wonderful, guys.
Take care, everybody. Have a great rest of your day.